The Golden State Warriors shocked everyone. As you all know, the NBA season is on its way, so all of us are very excited, but in today's video, I wanted to give you 5 underrated things that you may not have known about the Golden State Warriors that may shock you and may shock the rest of the NBA. So before we get into it, make sure you like this video, and don't forget, if you want more Golden State Warriors content like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hitting that red button down below. But let's get into the first fact, and the first fact being the Golden State Warriors had the #1 defensive rating in the NBA last season. Now I think this came to a shock to everyone. As you all know, the Golden State Warriors are a very highly efficient team when it comes to 3-point shooting and offense and all of that, but what people don't realize is that defense wins championships, and that's how the saying goes. And that's why you actually saw Golden State Warriors last season have the best defensive rating last season at 106.9, and it was actually ranked first. So I think it was honestly really great to see that, because obviously with defensive rating or defense, it doesn't really show or it doesn't really display what Golden State Warriors are all about. So it did surprise a lot of people when I did know that fact, or mentioned it. And I think honestly the defense that Golden State Warriors have done is honestly fantastic. Adding players like Andrew Wiggins, and at the time last season Gary Payton II, Otto Porter, adding these great defensive players have really helped this team grow into something special, and it really has helped this team grow not only on offense but on defense as well. Unfortunately, it was sad to see those players leave, such as Otto Porter Jr., Gary Payton II, JTA. However, when it comes to all of this as well, what I do see is that with the new players that have come up, so talking about players like Dante DiVincenzo, you got JaMychal Green now, Mac McClung, I think these players are going to do an absolute amazing job on defense, and they are all very defensive minded players. So I honestly don't see that defensive rating changing next season, and I think that did come to a surprise to a lot of people, which I think is honestly fantastic to see. Now, when it comes to their offensive rating, there's just kind of a weird fact, but they only actually ranked 17. And I know a lot of people think, they usually score the most, it's all about threes, blah blah, but they only ranked 17 out of offensive rating at 112. So they weren't even high on the scoring board, which was honestly hilarious to see, because a lot of people think, Golden State Warriors, it's all offense, no defense, but guys, the stats show otherwise. So let's get into the second fact. Now the second fact actually relates to the offensive rating, but the Golden State Warriors actually ranked second in field goal percentages. And the reason why this is so important is because offensive rating obviously just goes off an estimate of the points produced or scored per 100 possessions, which is actually 112 for Golden State Warriors, which ranks them 17th. But the reason why they're able to win so many games, not even just in the regular season but in playoffs, was actually their efficiency on offense. So their field goal percentage was actually 55%. 55%, that is honestly insane, guys. That is a very high field goal percentages, and also that does include 2-point and 3-point. So to be shooting 55% for both factors, I think is great. Now to give you an average of that, when it came to other NBA teams average was around 48. So they're honestly, around 7, sometimes even 8% better when it came to effective field goal percentage, and that's the reason why in effective field goal percentage they actually rank second in. So they are very efficient on offense, and I think that's what makes their offense so deadly. It's not actually, they're scoring a lot of points, but they're scoring it at an efficient manner. And you can definitely see that also in the individual stat lines. Well, we're going off the efficiency or field goal percentage of some of the players in the team. Steph Curry, his field goal percentage, which includes actually, 2-point and 3-point, is 55%. Andrew Wiggins, 54%. Jordan Poole, also 54%. Klay Thompson, 52%. Draymond, 55%. So guys, the list goes on and on. So they're all actually above 54%. There's only one player that actually isn't above that, and that was Andre Iguodala. But Andre Iguodala was only attempting 1 or 2 shots per game. But everyone that was actually a viable player, or one that were getting, significant minutes, they were all averaging above 55%, which was honestly fantastic to see. Some even close to 60%. So, in all honesty, I think that's honestly fantastic. Jonathan Kuminga actually came in at the highest when it came to active players in the team that were actually getting minutes every single game, and also he was actually at 61%, so that was really good to see. Gary Payton II also was an effective field goal percentage of 67%. So there's a lot of great percentages when it came to the efficiency of them on offense, and it really did show, and that's one of the reasons why they ended up winning that NBA championship and taking down some of the best teams in the league. Crazy fact number 3 is Golden State Warriors actually ranked second when it came to a 3-point attempt rate at 0.456. So as you all know, Golden State Warriors is a 3-point shooting team, and it definitely shows up when it comes to their attempts. So they were actually ranked second, 0.45 3-point attempts. And to look at some of the highest players that were shooting threes, you had Steph Curry, who was actually averaging 12 threes a game, Wiggins actually averaging 6, we had Jordan Poole averaging 8, and then we also had Klay Thompson averaging 10. So guys, this is honestly insane. If you just look at those numbers back in the day, probably back in 2012, 2011, before Steph Curry was Steph Curry, a lot of people were not shooting anywhere close to that many threes. Ray Allen back in the day was probably only shooting 4, 5, 6 threes a game, and that was considered very, very high. In today's league, it is very different, but you also have 4 players who are shooting above 5 threes per game in Klay, Wiggins, Poole, and also Curry. And I think what's crazy about this is that Wiggins now deserves the respect of being a 3-point shooter. A lot of people don't know this, but Wiggins actually had a really good 3-point percentage this season. He was shooting 5.5 attempts per game, so pretty much almost 6, and he was actually shooting a percentage on the 3-point line of 39%. 39% is very, very high. Back in the day, the average used to be around 30%. I think it has gone up a little bit, but now him shooting at 39%, almost 40, is very good. Steph Curry actually averages 38%, and his 3-point attempt is 12, however, so obviously that does change a lot of factors. But when it comes to all of this, I honestly think they are going to be getting better when it comes to not only their 3-point attempt, but their 3-point making ability. One of the reasons why I think this is because Klay Thompson is going to be back fully healthy, and I think this is very important when it comes to this team. Klay Thompson last season, he did play great, do not get me wrong. He still averaged 20 points per game, had around 4 rebounds and also 3 assists. However, when it comes to the offense and, his, vibe on the court, it's still very, different to how it used to be. And I think the reason why is obviously, he's been out for the season or, out of the league for about 2 years, and it needs some time to get used to on how to play at the NBA standard. I think he did a fantastic job doing the best he could, but I know there is still definitely more left in the tank for Klay Thompson to be back at where he was, and I think we are going to be seeing that next season, which is going to be super important. I think going to be super exciting to see from this team. Crazy fact number 3 is that Golden State Warriors actually had the best defensive rebound percentage. So it is an estimate of the percentage of available defensive rebounds a player grabbed while they were on the floor, and they actually had the highest with 78%. So I think that's honestly fantastic to see. I think rebounds in general is such an overlooked thing. Their total rebounds actually, when it came to the total rebounds for the season, they actually ranked 4th, which is actually really high, which I think is great to see from a team such as Golden State Warriors, despite the fact them not being a very tall team. You got to realize, and a lot of people don't even remember this, but Draymond Green is only 6'6". He's pretty much a shooting guard, okay? But he is grabbing boards like there's no other. He did average 7 boards a game, and you also have other better players when it comes to rebounding, such as, Kevon Looney. He honestly killed it throughout this whole season, and I think did a fantastic job. He was also averaging around 8 rebounds per game. You have Andrew Wiggins, who's able to grab boards pretty effectively at 5 rebounds per game. Steph Curry actually last season also averaged 6 rebounds, which was really surprising. I honestly never saw him rebound, but I guess that's a stat for him. But when it comes to the rebounds, it is very important, and a lot of people do overlook it, but it really what gets this team going, and I think that's fantastic to see from this whole team, especially on the defensive end. So they really rank highly on the defensive end more than the offensive rebounds. So defensive rebound, they actually had 2,930 total rebounds this season, and they were actually ranked 1st in that category. In offensive rebounds, there were only 800 and ranked actually 20. So defensive rebounds is what has kept this team good, and I think it really does help, especially not letting second chance buckets. And obviously we all know that how that affects games from a day in, day out basis. So honestly, keeping someone like Draymond Green is very important. I know a lot of people don't like Draymond Green, saying that, oh yeah, he doesn't pull up anything on the stats, blah, blah, blah. But you got to realize, guys, Draymond really does a lot for this team on the defensive end. He leads this team in any way possible, whether that's helping the bigs, whether that's playmaking to Klay, Steph, Wiggins, of those caliber type players. But honestly, Draymond Green is very vital when it comes to the leadership, when it comes to on the defensive end. So fun fact number 5 is the Golden State Warriors team chemistry is honestly unmatched. I think this is one of the most important things when it comes to any NBA team, but if the team chemistry is not there, the team will not work out. Now we have seen this time and time again, a lot of super teams that have, become something, and eventually when they end up in the season, they don't end up performing well the way they thought they would. Yes, there may be some injuries that were into play and all that. However, at the end of the day, when they're all together, it still doesn't work out as people thought it would. A perfect example of this is the Lakers when they got Kobe, Steve Nash, and also Dwight Howard in the same team. Now, I know a lot of you are probably like, oh, Dwight Howard, like he wasn't that crazy. Guys, you got to remember, if you are new to, watching NBA, Dwight Howard back in the day was an absolute beast. He was considered the best center in the league, and at one point, almost close to being the best player in the league, especially when he brought Orlando to the finals. So, honestly, he did a fantastic job, but honestly, when he moved over to the Lakers, it just didn't work out. Another perfect example is also the Brooklyn Nets with Kevin Durant, James Harden, and also Kyrie Irving. Now, a lot of you are probably like, oh, Kyrie Irving barely played, blah, 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 the whole thing with that nature. However, you got to realize they still had KD and James Harden for most of it, and they weren't able to win any games. So, Draymond Green also said this when it came to, what's really possible for any team, and he said that chemistry is so important, and I think that is completely true. So, we have seen superstars join together, join forces, trying to take down, championship teams like the Golden State Warriors, but it never seems to work because the Golden State Warriors, they've developed these players into being something special, and also they've developed them all together. So I love how this upcoming season, they've kept a lot of the core players together. Yes, you did lose Gary Payton II, Otto Porter, JTA, which were very vital players, but I think the players that they have signed in replacement of that, Dante DiVincenzo, JaMychal Green, all these types, I think they are very great for this team because they're unselfish players and they're looking to do whatever it takes to win another NBA championship. Whether that's only dropping 3 points, whether that's just playing defense, or whether that's just sitting on the bench and, supporting the team, these types of players are the ones that are going to be here for the long haul and do whatever it takes for them to win a championship. So I absolutely love that from this team. Guys, let me know down in the comments what you think, and yeah, I'll see you soon. Peace.